Rob Seacoke, Future Farm. Today's innovations, tomorrow's solutions.
So Jim, we're standing in front of Future Farm and we see a beautiful, healthy stand of corn here. Just completed pollination, and we know it's essential that we have a healthy plant during pollination, but now we're moving into grain fill. And it's just as important that we have a healthy plant throughout grain fill. So tell us a little bit of how we achieve that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So now that all of the different potential kernels of the plant have been pollinated and are making their way into the next stages, a lot of those are going to make it, but some may be aborted and actually ruin our yield potential for the field. So the happier that we can make this field, the happier the plants are, and as healthy as possible, the better. One way to get that done is through adding foliar nutritionals to the field. So doing foliar feeds of products like a NutriBoost NKB, which would be adding in, through a foliar application, nitrogen, potassium, and boron. And within that, what's really cool, because foliar feeds have been around for a number of years, is that there are new surfactants that are coming to market that really help to not just get those nutrients into the leaves, but then also help translocate those nutrients throughout the plant.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, sometimes you can do a tissue sample on a leaf and it will exhibit adequate levels of nutrients, but those nutrients aren't necessarily translocating into the rest of the plant, so you're not getting the full benefit. And I think boron is one of those, correct? That has difficulty translocating within the plant.
That's absolutely right, yeah.
And that's where that special surfactant comes into play, and it helps move that boron, translocate that within the plant, correct?
That's exactly right. And so if we can get that boron translocated throughout the plant, we can help assist moving sugars, or creating and moving sugars from the leaves of the plant into the actual ear to help form the grain that we need to deposit our yields.
Well, boron and potassium are so important in creating a strong cell wall, and a strong cell wall is important in providing that pump action that translocates those sugars through the rest of the plant, correct?
That's exactly right, yeah. So the electrochemical gradient that sugar is pushed across through those pumps is how we need to move that sugar from one location into another, and getting it into the grain is the idea here.
So we know that boron and potassium are really important for pollination. So an application just prior to pollination is really helpful. But what about the boron and potassium during grain fill?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, during grain fill is when we experience the most heat that we experience throughout the entire season. So those plants are going to be under stress. We may be adequately watered through irrigation, but we do still have fungicide applications that go on this time of year, and anything we can do to help improve that plant health, it will help with maintaining the photosynthetic activity of the plant throughout the rest of grain fill.
Excellent. Jim, we know there's a cost in application. How do we efficiently utilize these nutritionals that we're talking about today?
You're absolutely right. I mean, you can't pay for adding a nutritional just as a standalone, but oftentimes there are situations where we need to spray a field with a fungicide or an insecticide to control various different pests, and so adding in these nutritionals at that time is going to be the most cost-effective measure.
So one of the takeaways I took from this is that while we may have an adequate leaf test, we need to make sure we have the correct surfactant involved, like that in NutriBoost NKB, to make sure that we translocate that boron throughout the plant.
You're exactly right.
To have a healthy plant that has maximum yield.